the previous generations versus the current generation, I think education should be viewed very differently. In the previous generation, during my time and parents, all of those, education was the key to moving out of poverty, moving out of, and becoming successful. Right? Education was the only way, the only means. If you look around, I think almost every single successful business person or corporate executive that you see have typically gone through a very similar journey. So education today, I think, essentially is about helping students cut through all that clutter, make sense of all that, basically drown out that noise, cut through the clutter and make sense, be able to sift through, there's the problem with this information overload is majority of that information typically tends to be false or lies or biased or convoluted in some form. The ability to be able to see through that and then figure out what is the actual truth, right? So education, I think today needs to lay a lot more emphasis on asking questions, and not just asking questions for the sake of asking questions, but also be open-minded to receiving answers, understanding any particular situations from multiple viewpoints, because there's no single correct viewpoint necessarily, and then being able to make sense and progress from there. I think education also increasingly today needs to help students and the generation be a lot more anchored, start focusing inward and not be overly dependent on just information and the image that there's so much emphasis on today. Therefore, to be more self-reliant and be self-confident about oneself. I think education is a lot more, there's a lot more that education needs to do today than it did when we were in school. Because I've been a Chinmaya Mission member right from school days, and I'm an active Chinmaya Mission member even today. You hear about all the projects, and I've been involved in many of the both local as well as global Chinmaya Mission projects. When Chinmaya Vibhuti, for example, was being set up, so right from scratch, I've been associated and aware of the developments there, and have been frequently participating, going there and contributing. And similarly, Chinmaya Vishwa Vidyapeeth, right from when CIF got created, and then the idea of CVV came up. Right from the beginning, I'd heard about CVV. In fact, I would say it all started with Gurudev Swami Chinmayanandaji's vision for education, and then how the whole Chinmaya Vidyalaya movement started. And then he was very clear about creating CIRS, which is the Chinmaya International Residential School, and the vision of combining, education which is rooted in Indian culture and values, but you bring in the best of the Western education as well, and how do you kind of offer that in one place. And I think CVV is an extension of that same vision of combining Indian knowledge systems along with contemporary knowledge systems, and being able to provide that kind of canvas for the students to be able to then be deep-rooted and anchored in Indian culture and values and systems, but at the same time be broad-minded and have a global mindset. So you're kind of getting best of both the worlds in one place. And I think that's what's fascinating about CVV. I think education plays a key role in building the right values and the base, based on which the youngster can then build a future, right? So if the foundation is strong, right, then you can build anything and even tear it down and rebuild if required. And therefore, I think CVV and the education focus there in terms of not just amalgamating IKS and CKS. I think that's just one aspect, which is about providing that broad-based curriculum. But I think value-based education, which is the underlying foundation, and what that means that it translates into helping the students find that anchor for themselves. I think finding that emotional and spiritual anchor is the most important aspect, and I think everything else can then be built around that and on top of that. And that's where I think CVV plays a key part. Because we are focusing on that foundation, I think that is going to help build an entire generation of youth who will be equipped both in terms of knowledge to create material wealth and contribute to the nation, but also as individuals be fundamentally strong because they have this foundation of the right values. There are three things here that I'd like to highlight. For anyone looking at CVV as a potential opportunity as a faculty member, I think one is Chinmaya Mission as an organization. It's a global spiritual organization, but it's an organization which has done phenomenal work over the last 5 decades in serving the Indian community, both in India and the Indian diaspora globally, in providing spiritual, cultural, and educational kind of inputs. Anywhere you go across the world and you speak to Indians, everybody has a lot of respect for the Chinmaya Mission. So it's a global platform, and the CVV is part of and a core part of that platform. So you're essentially, when you're joining CVV, you're getting onto a global platform and a global, reputed and respected platform. That's one. The second is the way CVV is positioned, and the unique positioning that CVV has of combining, and the vision of combining IKS with CKS. And therefore, for faculty members, it gives them a unique platform again to be able to come in and do research and build IP, right? And build curriculum and build course material, which helps them combine this in their area of specialization, which then allows them to again uniquely position themselves in the academic field. And the third thing is just what you had mentioned earlier, just the vibrations of that place and the way the institution is being built. So an opportunity for somebody to come in and be part of that journey from almost like the inception stage. It's very rare for you to be able to get opportunities to be part of a global organization and build an institution almost from scratch. Right? CVV provides that platform for the faculty members to be able to come in and build a legacy and create an institution which they can proudly say that they have been part of and being part of the core team to build. I think these would be my pitch to folks who are potentially considering faculty jobs in CVV. If you very rationally look at the curriculum and the brochures from different universities today, all of them look and feel the same. They all sound the same, the curriculum sounds the same, and therefore the student that graduates out of these institutions, all of them typically look and feel the same. But I think CVV in that clutter stands out as a unique institution which has this combination of the best of both the worlds from a CKS and an IKS perspective. Beautiful campus which allows the students to grow, not just in terms of academic learning, but also cultural platforms beyond just the curriculum for them to evolve as well-rounded students, and the kind of spiritual background that the institution has, which gives a huge opportunity for these students to find their own, to get centered within themselves and find their own anchors, emotional and spiritual anchors. I think that makes this institution really unique, and that's what I would also tell students to think about. And I think the best ambassadors for CVV and what the students or aspiring students should check is look at some of the recent graduates from CVV and talk to them and follow their social media footprint or their LinkedIn profiles. And wherever you have an opportunity, speak to these students who are currently studying or have recently graduated. I think they will tell you a far more compelling story and reasons why you should join CVV. Many donors, typically when it comes to organizations like Chinmaya Mission, they get worried because it's a spiritual organization. And many donors, honestly, tend to have a lot of distrust and discomfort about associating with spiritual organizations or donating to spiritual organizations. What the Chinmaya Mission teaches, which is essentially Vedant, is to help a Hindu be a better Hindu, a Muslim be a better Muslim, a Christian be a better Christian. So you don't need to convert. You just become a better version of yourself. And that's what the Chinmaya Mission does. The other advantage is that if you still feel uncomfortable about contributing to a spiritual organization, the Chinmaya Vishwa Vidyapeeth is a beautiful platform which is essentially focused on education, right? And about building a stronger nation by creating, students and an entire generation of youngsters who can be positive contributors to society. So you are contributing to nation building by donating to the CVV. And I think the best way for you to understand this is speak to other donors, speak to donors who are not Chinmaya Mission members but have still donated. Obviously, there is something that has resonated with them. Speak to students who are graduating from the CVV, so you actually get a feel of what this institution is creating. And I would strongly urge, if you can, actually visit CVV. If you still have any doubts, by visiting there, I can assure you those doubts also will be taken care of. And then you will definitely want to be part of this great institution that is being built. I think my only message is that I'm jealous of what the students and the faculty members are experiencing and what they're going through. I wish I had this kind of an opportunity when I was a student myself. So just therefore, make the most of what you have, because what you have and what you're going through is a life-changing experience and a very, very unique experience. Make the most of it, and through this journey, find out your own purpose and find that center within yourself, that sanctuary within yourself that you can always go back to whenever you come across any trouble or any challenges in life. And I think CVV provides you that platform to find that anchor within yourself. Make the most of it.